I'm Andrew Meatrich, and you're in the right place if you're tired of the official narratives. I spent years on the inside of a major media corporation, watching them bend the truth to fit their agenda, until I decided I'd had enough and walked. Now, I'm independent, I say what I see, and I'm here to give you the real story behind the headlines. If you appreciate that kind of straight talk, do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you really want to help keep this channel independent and fearless, consider becoming a sponsor. Your support means everything. It's what allows me to do this work without answering to anyone but you. Now let's shift our focus across the Atlantic, because the whole world is talking about the massive riots that broke out in The Hague. Citizens took to the streets to demand a tougher migration policy, but things quickly spiraled out of control. Police say they had to use force to disperse the aggressive protesters, and at least 30 people have been arrested so far. But this wasn't a one-sided affair. The police took a serious hit too. The authorities are warning that more arrests are likely as they pore over video footage from the clashes. And here's where the politics get interesting. Geert Wilders, the leader of the Freedom Party, took to social media to call the actions of the protesters against the police absolutely unacceptable. He even used some pretty strong language to describe the attackers, which I won't repeat here. The irony, of course, is that Geert Wilders is currently leading in the public opinion polls ahead of the parliamentary elections scheduled for October 29th. For those who don't know, these elections were called after the ruling government collapsed, specifically because of disagreements over migration policy, with Wilders pulling his ministers out of the coalition. So he condemns the violence, but he's riding the very wave of public anger that fueled it. What's also very telling is that some of the rioters were dressed in black and wearing masks, which suggests this wasn't just a spontaneous protest, it was a pre-planned provocation. This is a powder keg, and we're just waiting to see what happens next. Equally explosive, though in a different way, are the new statements from the European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen. She finally personally commented on the GPS signal interference incident that, as you'll recall, affected the plane she was on. This isn't just a one-off event. Von der Leyen pointed out that GPS signal disruptions have become a daily problem in many regions bordering Russia. She stated that maritime navigation in the Baltic Sea frequently experiences glitches, which dramatically increases the risk of collisions. And, she added, the same applies to air traffic over the Black Sea. Make no mistake, this is a direct accusation. The EU, she says, is taking this, along with all other hybrid and cyber attacks, very, very seriously. Are we seeing the battle lines of a new kind of warfare being drawn? It certainly feels that way. When a journalist asked her directly if the world is heading towards a third world war, Ursula von der Leyen gave a carefully worded answer. No, it is not, she said, but we are living in very dangerous times. And that, she explained, is why she will do everything in her power to preserve peace and freedom in Europe. This directly explains the bloc's determination to, in her words, strengthen and further strengthen the defensive capabilities of the European community. It's a reassurance wrapped in a warning, a classic political statement that tells you everything you need to know about the current mood in Brussels. The peace is fragile, and they know it. And speaking of asserting European independence, she made it crystal clear that the EU will not automatically impose 100% tariffs on goods from India and China, even if that's what Donald Trump demands. When asked if the EU would follow his lead, she shot back, "The European Union will make its own decisions." She then added that the EU wants to sign a trade agreement with India by the end of this year, one that will benefit businesses on both sides. This is a direct message to Washington, both present and future, that Europe intends to chart its own course on the world stage. And while we're on the topic of her future, von der Leyen also shut down rumors that she plans to run for president of Germany in 2027. This speculation had been bubbling up in the German media all summer, with reports suggesting she might leave her EU post early. The renowned publication Der Spiegel even wrote that German Chancellor Friedrich Merz was considering proposing her candidacy. These kinds of stories don't just appear out of thin air, especially in a powerhouse publication like that. So while she denies it now, you have to wonder what's really being discussed behind closed doors. We've got a long way to go until 2027, and a lot can change. Now let's talk about something that sounds like it's straight out of a science fiction movie. Europe wants to build a drone wall to protect its eastern flank. Ursula von der Leyen, in her State of the Union address, announced that Europe must heed the call of the Baltic states and construct this wall. Two companies involved in the project say their technology is ready to be implemented. This wall wouldn't be made of bricks and mortar. It would consist of radars, cameras, and radio frequency detectors designed to jam, block, or even shoot down hostile drones with other drones. This is the new reality of European defense. Germany is moving in the same direction. The Inspector General of the Bundeswehr, Carsten Breuer, is pushing for the rapid deployment of new anti-drone weapon systems within the German armed forces. He expects to see progress on this front within a matter of months. Time is clearly of the essence. Breuer also boasted that interest in military service is on the rise in Germany. He claims that compared to last year, 15% more young people have chosen to volunteer for military service. He was blunt about it. Germany urgently needs young men and women to join the armed forces. It seems the message about dangerous times is hitting home. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so you don't miss any of our deep dives into the stories that truly matter. Meanwhile, in Serbia, we just saw a massive military parade in Belgrade. Officials are calling it the largest demonstration of the Serbian army's power ever. President Vučić declared that the parade highlights the country's ability to defend its independence and sovereignty and to act as a deterrent against foreign aggressors. He didn't specify who those aggressors might be, but you can draw your own conclusions. Of course, opposition leaders have a different take. They argue the parade wasn't just about showing off military might. It was a calculated move to strengthen Vučić's grip on power, a show of force for a domestic audience. But amidst all this tension, there is a surprisingly positive piece of news coming out of France. The towers of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris are once again open to the public. It's been 6 long years since the devastating fire, and now you can visit the iconic towers 7 days a week until 11 p.m. President Emmanuel Macron was the first to ascend to the cathedral's roof to celebrate the reopening, and naturally he was very pleased, both with the restoration and, you can be sure, with himself. A quick note for anyone planning a visit. While entry to the cathedral itself is free, climbing the tower will cost you 16 euros. And finally, let's turn to a story that is just baffling. From a museum in the heart of Cairo, Egypt, a 1,000-year-old golden bracelet belonging to a pharaoh has vanished. This priceless artifact was supposed to be a centerpiece in an exhibition in Rome called Treasures of the Pharaohs. The bracelet, weighing about 600 grams of pure gold, was last seen during packing operations in the museum's restoration labs. The Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities immediately sent photos of the missing item to all Egyptian airports, seaports, and border crossings to prevent it from being smuggled out of the country. But the reality of what happened was far simpler and far more tragic. The theft was carried out by 4 people, one of whom was a museum employee, and here's the most unbelievable part. They sold this piece of ancient history for a mere $3,700 to a precious metals dealer in Cairo. That dealer then resold the pharaoh's bracelet for $4,000, not as an artifact, but as scrap metal. That's right, a priceless piece of world heritage is gone forever, quickly melted down by guys looking to make a quick buck. It's a stark reminder of how fragile history can be in our modern world. So let's quickly recap what we've covered. We've seen the almost comical political theater unfolding in the US, with Gavin Newsom's tearful restaurant tale and Donald Trump's defiant quips about winning. We've seen Europe grappling with very real threats, from violent protests in The Hague to Russia's daily hybrid warfare with GPS jamming, prompting plans for a futuristic drone wall. And we've touched on the bizarre and tragic story of a priceless pharaoh's bracelet being melted down for scrap. It's a complex and fast-moving world, and I'm here to help you make sense of it all. If you value this perspective and want to support truly independent journalism, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you can, consider becoming a sponsor. Every bit of support helps me stay on this wall, watching and reporting the truth. Thank you for tuning in.